I get it, you've spent hours scrolling through lab equipment listings, the pictures look flawless, the specs line up, and then the product arrives and it just doesn't mix the way you imagined. That it looks great online, but it's a disappointment in the bench feeling is what makes me hit pause before I recommend anything. If you're nervous about ending up with a shaker that won't actually give you the uniform agitation you need, keep watching. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The IKA 4001000 Rocker 3D Digital Tumbling Shaker sits in a niche of benchtop mixers that promise gentle, adjustable motion for everything from petri dishes to microtube racks. In a typical molecular biology or histology workflow, you might be staining dozens of slides, incubating enzyme reactions, or simply keeping a suspension evenly dispersed while you move on to the next step. The real question is whether this particular rocker can slip into that routine without becoming a second-hand experiment. First off, setting it up is almost as easy as you'd hope. The base is compact enough to fit on a standard bench, and the rubber mat underneath keeps it from sliding when you crank the speed up to the 80 revolutions per minute ceiling. You place your trays or dishes on the platform, tap the digital keypad, and the LED readout tells you exactly what speed and time you've selected. I found the tilt angle adjustment 0 to 15 degrees to be surprisingly intuitive. A quick twist of the knob and the whole platform tilts, letting you fine-tune the mixing angle for those delicate staining trays that need a gentle, uniform glide rather than a harsh tumble. In practice, that variable speed range makes a big difference. When I was running a low-temperature incubation for a cell culture assay, I set the rocker to a slow 7 revolutions per minute and let it run for an hour. The cells stayed evenly suspended, and I didn't see the clumping that sometimes happens with a vortex. On the other hand, when I needed to dislodge a stubborn precipitate from a microtube, I nudged it up to 55 revolutions per minute and the rocking action broke the clumps without spilling any liquid. The ability to dial in any speed between those extremes means you aren't forced into a one-size-fits-all motion, which is a common complaint with cheaper shakers that only offer low, medium, high. Who should actually consider buying this rocker? If you run a small to medium research lab that routinely handles plates, dishes, or tubes that need a gentle but consistent motion, the IKA rocker fits nicely. It's also a solid choice for teaching labs where students need a reliable piece of equipment that won't require constant fiddling. The digital control panel reduces the learning curve for newcomers, and the time-based run option lets you set a mixing period and walk away something that's surprisingly valuable when you're juggling multiple protocols. Conversely, if your work revolves around high-throughput screening with 96 well plates that need rapid orbital shaking, or if you need a heavy-duty mixer that can handle large volumes of viscous solutions, you'll probably be better off with a dedicated orbital shaker or a more robust platform. The 15-degree tilt ceiling, while ample for most staining trays, may feel limiting if you're trying to achieve a specific shear profile that only a larger tilt can provide. Also, because the platform is designed for standard lab vessels, you'll need to improvise if you want to shake oddly shaped containers. The rocker won't accommodate them without a custom cradle. A practical strength that often goes unnoticed is the noise level. In my lab, the IKA runs at a whisper-quiet hum even at the upper end of its speed range, which means you can keep it running overnight without the whole bench area turning into a low-frequency thrum. That quiet operation is a subtle but real quality-of-life upgrade, especially when you're working in a shared space where constant background noise can become a distraction. On the flip side, the digital keypad, while clear, can be a bit sensitive to accidental presses if you're wearing gloves. I've had a moment where a stray finger nudged the plus button and the speed jumped a notch, which could be a nuisance mid-run. The solution is simply to keep a hand on the control panel or to program the time setting first and then step away, but it's something to be aware of the first time you use it. Another hidden trade-off is the platform size. It's generous enough for a standard staining tray, but if you try to cram in multiple petri dishes side by side, you'll find the edge of the platform limits you. The rubber mat does keep everything from slipping, but you'll need to arrange your vessels carefully to avoid them sliding into each other during the tilt motion. That isn't a deal-breaker. It's just a reminder that the rocker is optimized for a specific range of labware rather than a freeform layout. Overall, the value of the IKA 4001000 rocker isn't hidden in a headline RPM number or a flashy warranty clause. It's in the way the device lets you translate a protocol's rock gently for 30 minutes into